Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. Today I have with me Sri Shekhar Iyer ji, and we're going to talk about a few things. The first one being the ongoing Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatra. Second, the opposition strategy for 2024. And third, what happened in the 𝙒𝙗𝙤𝙦𝘼𝙥𝙥 trip to meet Prime Minister Modi. She has expressed some statements. And then what happened after she returned back to Bangladesh. So here is Sri Shekhar Iyer ji. Shekhar ji, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel.
Thank you, Shreya ji, for having me once again. Thank you.
Shekhar ji, I hope your throat is feeling better. And first off, this RaGa caravan. If I look at the size of the containers and things like that, boy, there was a lot of money spent, but people are now expressing fears if he'll even finish this trip that he might just, jump off and then go off to Thailand or some other place like that. How do you see this caravan's progress so far? Do you see all the local luminaries jump in? How is New Delhi leadership of Congress looking at it? The 360-degree view, please.
Well, Shreya ji, there is a lot of disappointment about the way whole yatra has been planned. In fact, within the Congress party, some of the senior leaders cannot, actually understand the timing of this yatra, the purpose of this yatra, and what is sought to be projected in this yatra. Because what is coming across in the last few days, it's all about Rahul Gandhi, walking with a band of his leaders, particularly the young leaders, in his signature T-shirt, and staying overnight and doing about 20 to 25 kilometers a day. And in fact, they spent a lot of time in Tamil Nadu itself, the Kanyakumari district. Then this evening, they have just moved into Kerala, and they are going to spend about nearly a week in Kerala before they move on to Karnataka. Now, the big question that is coming is even about the term, Bharat Jodo Yatra, knitting Bharat together. In fact, some leaders are asking, what is the need for Bharat Jodo now? There is, we are not facing a situation like, say, Indira Gandhi faced. There was, Sikh militancy or secessionist movement somewhere. I think such thing is happening now. In fact, the last of the problem we had was Article 370 and the separatists in Kashmir, where things have been largely brought under control, though there are Islamist forces trying to rear their head, here and there. So the purpose of this yatra, because the big question that is being asked, is it about preparing the ground for Rahul Gandhi to return as Congress president next month, because the Congress presidential elections are due in October? This is the way they want to show, look, this is a new Rahul Gandhi. It's not the whole Rahul Gandhi who resigned in huff in 2019 after the disastrous performance by the Congress in the parliamentary election, that this is a new Rahul Gandhi, it's a new rejuvenated Congress. But from the enthusiasm that this yatra is so far, evoked, particularly among the rank and file, it's not great to write about considering the amount of resources that are being spent for this yatra. So a lot of questions are being asked as to what is this all about, because we are already hearing local newspapers in Tamil Nadu are talking about container Congress. These are supposed to be containers mounted on trucks. And these containers, they are not those containers which we often hear in the news, which poor immigrants, try to smuggle into UK or, France, or cross the Mediterranean or the English Channel. These are not those types. These are very comfortable ones which have got, they are air conditioned, they have lot of plush interiors, and even attached pantry unit. So, and there is one particular container which has been earmarked for Rahul, where he stays alone, because it's supposed to be a single bed with sofa and a mini conference space. But others are 3-bedroom. There are even 6-bedroom, I'm told. There's one exclusively for women. So there's a lot of stories being written about this container arrangements rather than about the purpose of the yatra. Because what is it to be sought to be achieved? Because one logic that was given when the yatra was talked was that Congress has organization all over the country. Rather, it's one party which can claim that there is one Congress Karyakarta in every village or in every panchayat. And this yatra is supposed to rejuvenate those units, rejuvenate those workers or Karyakarta at that level. But what we are seeing here is it's not exactly that, because he is just marching on and trying to meet people here and there. and there is not much coming out of this interaction, because it's all about local people and local talking to them. And I'm told, in Tamil Nadu he talked to some women, and one woman wanted to know about when would he get married. That kind of trivia talk, which is not exactly aiding Congress purpose. Because in terms of political messaging, Shri Ayerji, there is nothing that Rahul Gandhi is newly offering. It is basically his critique of Narendra Modi as Prime Minister and the BJP rule for the last 8 years, which he has been doing. He did through 2014 to 2019. He did the parliamentary election, and subsequent to that, nothing has changed in that narrative. There are no new points, excepting saying that a lot of people are walking along with him because they don't have jobs, and it's only Congress that can deliver. So, in terms of messaging, the senior leaders are also faulting with the fact that no other Congress leader has been projected. I mean, he is not even projecting one of the most popular faces of Congress, that is Indira Gandhi. There is no mention of Indira Gandhi or picture in these yatras. So, therefore, see, there is a legacy that Congress carries, particularly in those parts of the country where people still remember Congress in terms of Indira Gandhi. So he is not doing that. It's just his picture is splashed across, and there is a band of people, walking along. All his hardcore loyalists. So in terms of political messaging, we are not seeing any very big new thing happening. In terms of rejuvenation of local units, I don't think if you spend a few hours in a particular area, that's going to lead to rejuvenation. Because what about the follow-up action? See, often the idea of Yatra, many believe, has come from they have borrowed it from the BJP thinking. BJP did so many Yatras. Advani's Ram Yatra, you had Murli Manoj's Ekta Yatra. There were several Yatras. BJSB has been good at doing these Yatras. So, probably if we follow that same path, have more such Yatras, we will get our units to stand up on their feet, and our future is secured. But that doesn't seem to be happening, because these copycat ideas don't work. In fact, it was Prashant Kishore who had, in whatever brief consultancy work he did for the Congress, had mentioned that Congress has lost mass contact, that it is a long time since any Congress leader went out to the villages and spoke to people. That's why, they probably borrowed that part, because that initial ideas of Prashant Kishore was examined by a task force that included Digvijay Singh, and he has proposed this yatra. And one part was that nobody has gone on the yatra since last Rajiv Gandhi did way back in the early 80s, mid 80s. So after that, nothing has happened. So we should do something new. So I think all these kind of a mismatch of ideas, I've seen this going. And the whole idea seems to be to tell the rank and file, and of course the dissenters, look, we are in action mode. But action to what purpose? What will it deliver? And why is the such a route has been chosen when you could have started from Somnath or somewhere from Gujarat and ended in Shimla? Which are the state going states? Or if you wanted to do it for April of 2023, you could have included other states. So there is a lot of misgivings about this yatra, but nobody is talking about it because the yatra is on move. And the biggest fear is Rahul Gandhi keeps saying at different places that he is not leading the yatra, he is participating in the yatra, which means he is leaving ample room to take a break in midweek and fly off to Europe to cool his heels. Literally cool his heels.
And where is his mother now?
I don't think she has come back after she went for her to look up her mother, and then they announced the death of her mother. Since then, Sonia Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi have not returned to India. At least nothing official has been said about it. I believe they are still there, and so therefore people are asking. They are looking at somewhere around September 14th is the time when Rahul Gandhi could suddenly take a break for a couple of days or 3-4 days and then join the yatra. So, with Rahul Gandhi, there is not much enthusiasm. Now, in the absence of Rahul Gandhi, I do not know how those senior leaders who are already, they are not in great, shape in terms of physical fitness to continue this kind of doing 20 kilometers a day. So, therefore, his whole purpose, I mean, yatra could have been, and this is the wrong time of the year to do a yatra, because India is unusually hot and humid for most parts, or it is raining. And when it is not raining, it's hot and humid. So in this sweltering weather, to have this kind of field exercise, you don't draw audience too, because unless some units. I'm told in Tamil Nadu the TNCC arranged some women to stand, probably enroll them on a day-to-day basis, so that there's a semblance of some crowd gathering in those remote villages. Otherwise, I don't see it making any big ripple. Anyway, Kerala is very important because it has entered Kerala this evening, and in Kerala we have to see what exactly Rahul Gandhi's thrust is. Will he take on the communists? Will he speak hard? I mean, will he be hard hitting on Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan, or will he will stick to his script of just attacking the Prime Minister? Because Kerala has got 20 parliamentary seats. Pinarayi Vijayan will not spare a single seat for the Congress, including that of Wayanad, of which Rahul Gandhi represents. And another interesting thing, people are also saying, is this Yatra also about testing the ground? Say, these are some of the parliamentary seats which Rahul Gandhi himself could be interested as an alternative, parliamentary seats, whether it is Kanyakumari or Bellary or Chikmagalur. All these speculations are there. But see, in between in the midst of the Yatra, you have the question of who will be the Congress president. That will be sometime next month, October. So what happens during that period? What happens to Yatra? Will the Yatra be halted to allow the election of the Congress president? So these are a lot of questions, and a better management could have been done. That's a feeling that's coming across among Congress watchers and Congress leaders.
Now, we saw a flurry of activity. Some opposition leader rushes off and goes and meets somebody, and there's a botched press conference where Nitish Kumar wouldn't even sit in the press conference, and you saw KCR, K. Chandrasekhar Rao, dragging his hand literally and saying, "Sit down," and then not endorsing him for prime minister. So that looked like a circus, and perhaps there are other things planned, like Mamta is meeting somebody, Stalin is meeting somebody. Is there a strategy for the opposition, or you're going to have a divided front?
Well, these meetings, okay, this is 2022. There is again another, actually, couple of years to go before the next parliamentary elections, and there are assembly elections also. But Nitish Kumar is the new boy on the block, I would say, because he has arrived in. I mean, he came to Delhi. He had a meeting with Rahul Gandhi, and then he has been meeting other leaders, including Arvind Kejriwal. But this is too early now, and Nitish Kumar probably, because of all the meetings he has had, I would consider Rahul Gandhi. His meeting with Rahul Gandhi is very important, because if Rahul Gandhi is willing to concede the leadership of the opposition to Nitish Kumar, like they were ready to do it in 2013 when Nitish left BJP and joined the hands with Lalu and Congress to form the Gathbandhan, because Chidambaram had put in his mind that he could be an opposition prime ministerial candidate. Probably the same formula could again be revived, telling Nitish that, look, you are our best bet. And people are saying, look, the Kurmi population, which Nitish represents, they are maybe 9% in Bihar, but they are they are more in Uttar Pradesh. So basically, it is projecting Nitish as that the non-Yadav backward class leader who could perhaps again do a social engineering at a national level, purely confined to the states of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. I can't see any other state that look at this Bihari style kind of social engineering, and then trying to get other leaders in. See, each of the leaders whom either KCR or Nitish is contacting, all those leaders are down in the, I would say they are down in the dumps rather. Take for instance HD Kumaraswamy. His Janata Dal secular is in such a bad shape, they do not know where they will stand in the next assembly election. He is meeting up with KCR or his son KTR. This is not going to, okay, ultimately, out of those 28 Karnataka Lok Sabha seats, how many seats is JDS going to win? Okay, Telangana KCR may dream of winning all the 17 Lok Sabha seats. But what about Nitish himself? See, of the 40 parliamentary seats in Bihar, which he had won along with BJP support, this time it's going to be different. With the same Mahagathbandhan, can they repeat that performance of what they did in the 2015 election in 2024 Lok Sabha elections? That question is to be asked. And in the run up to the elections, we do not know what will be the level of uh, the right word, the right word would be, the fusion within the so-called Janata Dal constituents, because generally it used to be said the fusion mode of these leaders is such that they can't stay together for 6 months, they can't stay away for 6 months. So you do not know what permutation combination can happen over the next 24 months. So this is the kind of scenario. Of course, in terms of headlines, Nitish beating Rahul, because I would give importance only if Rahul, he has decided that he means by what he says. He is not interested in becoming PM. He will let the Congress play the second fiddle, and to him, Nitish is more acceptable than, say, Mamata or Sharad Pawar or any other leader. But then Nitish himself is an undependable entity. We have seen he can do anything. So how much Rahul will be willing to trust him? And see, after all, at one time, Rahul had best of relations with Tejasvi Yadav. Every time Tejasvi used to land in Delhi, Rahul used to take him out for lunch, take him to some of the best restaurants, whether Japanese, Chinese, or Indonesian, or he used to help Tejasvi to a new world of culinary delights. He used to do all that, but of late we realized that those relationships went cold. Probably this Mahagathbandhan in Bihar may revive their friendship. See, there are individual problems, individual chemistry involved, and as well as finally nothing can take shape actually when the Lok Sabha elections of 24 are announced. What kind of seat adjustments are possible? Because Nitish is supposed to be working on the old Sonia formula, which was, let us ensure one opposition candidate against each of the BJP nominee in all the 543 constituencies, so that we can ensure that opposition votes are not divided, and BJP, in any case, does not, wins between 30 to 35% or 40% of votes. So, but will that be agree? I mean, will all parties agree? Because Mamata knows, you see, all these regional parties know their bargaining power in any post-poll scenario depends on how many seats actually they win, rather than conceding seat to Congress or to another friendly party. It doesn't help, because ultimately the battle post-elections will be, if Mamata has got, say, 35 out of 42 Lok Sabha seats, she can bargain for better, ministerial berths and things like that. But also let us understand, if all these parties put together, let's say BJP is on a terrible decline and Modi is not able to, do that magic of 2019, which means the regional parties will all put together maybe 100. But you still need another 150 or more, because the halfway mark is 272. That can come only from the Congress. So the Congress is also to perform well in all the states where they are in direct fight with BJP. Now, will Congress be ready by then, by 2024? Or the disaffection that Congress sees among the people on various issues, will it rise to such a level that they will turn to the Congress as the savior? I mean, there are so many questions, Shri, which I feel at this stage, these meetings are nothing but just use fillers.
And now, and now let's take a look at the recent visit of the Bangladesh Prime Minister, and also in the view of the fact that Bangladesh goes to elections next year. Shekharji, there was an interview she gave to ANI in which she expressed concerns for the minorities in India, very cleverly not mentioning about her own management of minorities in Bangladesh. What is this double-tongued speech, Shekharji?
Well, Sheikh Hasina, her India trip has come ahead of the elections in Bangladesh, general elections in Bangladesh in 2023. And, she's under tremendous pressure, particularly from the Islamist hardliners there, as well as the main opposition party, the Bangladesh National Party. And if you look at the questions, because she gave interviews to a host of Indian outlets, and some of these questions were put to her, asking her views on what do you think of what is happening to minorities. The questions which she could not avoid answering. So she gave a reply which may appear to be critical, but I don't think that's the purpose in her mind, because India remains her best friend, her best ally, actually, in her own handling the Islamic extremists in that country. Of course, every time when Hindu minorities have been attacked, because the opposition there has been singularly pursuing this path of street violence, attacks on minorities, chaos wherever possible, so that Sheikh Hasina's government gets shaky, and there could be sections within the official establishment that can rise in revolt, because they are hoping for a repeat of a pattern when of 1975, when our father Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was killed similarly by the army officers. So I think she knows what kind of situation she is facing. Because I hear today, as soon as she landed there, there has been a lot of criticism by the opposition there, saying that she went and gave away everything. There were so many agreements. Of course, all those agreements are mutually beneficial and benefit to Bangladesh. But there is one agreement which has been pending for 2 years,
We seem to have momentarily lost Shekhar Iyer ji, and while he reconnects, may I request you
Shri
all to
Ayerji, you
like.
know that it involves sharing of a river, for which there is a huge demand in terms of water availability on the Bengal side. Mamata has been opposed to a kind of an agreement, and in previous time also, when there was close to an agreement, Mamata put her foot down. This time, Sheikh Hasina hoped if Mamata could come over to Delhi and meet her, so that some forward movement could be shown in terms of tea stop for a domestic audience. Now, I don't think Mamata is in any mood to concede any agreement on Teesta before 2024 parliamentary election. But she took the plea that the central government did not allow her to visit Delhi. Obviously, because the Prime Minister Modi is wiser after his last, when he had Mamata with him, when they went to launch the the bus project between India and Bangladesh, and where during those talks, Mamata refused for any, conceding any quarter as for sharing of Teesta. So therefore, Teesta is a problem for Sheikh Hasina, and Mamata will not do it because of domestic audience. And Sheikh Hasina has to show to her people and her opposition that she has managed the best of deal, and that's not happening, because I hear the latest strategy of the Sheikh Hasina's rivals is to unleash violence in a big way, where again minorities could be targeted, and ensure the elections are not held, because they want to boycott the elections and claim that Sheikh Hasina's election was null and void, because you could again have foreign observers coming, Commonwealth observers, EU observers, who would judge whether the elections were free and fair. A repeat of the last elections is possible. So therefore, Sheikh Hasina is walking on a very, very, I would say, on a tight rope. And for us, the best bet is Sheikh Hasina. If you recall, even in this interview, she talked about the problem of Rohingyas. She said there are more than a billion of them staying in Bangladesh and who will have to be repatriated to Myanmar. Sorry. And Myanmar is not willing to accept it. Myanmar is not willing to accept any of them. So, in terms of, and when a question comes to about Bangladesh illegal settlers in India, we know for a fact that Bangladesh has not officially acknowledged that so many people are here. Sorry.
Bless you, sir. Bless you. Bless you.
Yeah. And Bangladesh has not accepted they are here. In fact, that is not even on the official talks about the illegal settlers, because we have had Home Ministry figures saying there are more than 2 crore illegal Bangladesh settlers in India. Of course, Assam is the case. So therefore, I think these are sensitive issues, but for us it's important that Islamists don't gain advantage and Sheikh Hasina remains in office. That's the primary duty. And we all know for a fact that our intelligence agencies, our security agencies are deeply working with the Bangladesh counterparts for protection of Sheikh Hasina, because it's important that there is a moderate government there, because the opposition Bangladesh nationalist parties, we have seen during the Khalida Zia, before that Zia ur Rahman, all those people who came to power after the assassination of Sheikh Mujibur, they were again, trying to take back Bangladesh back into the Pakistani fold. And with this new geopolitical situation, India's primary concern is that we must do all that is to strengthen Sheikh Hasina in Bangladesh.
Thank you very much, Shekhar ji. And we have a few questions for you, sir. Let's have some questions for Shekhar, please. Anand Vaidya wants to know what are the chances that they will finally get together and upset BJP plans for a third run? What is the worst case for BJP NDA?
The worst case scenario, I would say, is they actually agree on, deciding to put up one candidate of the opposition against each of the BJP or the NDA ally. If they do succeed, say out of 543, if they can manage to do it even 400 seats, then it would be a very, very tough challenge for BJP. Because notwithstanding the popularity of the Prime Minister, in each of these constituencies, the division of opposition votes gets minimized, then it will be a tough. But then this is a theoretical, possibility, because in actual reality, several factors are at work. As I said earlier, they may not agree. And the second thing is the other worst case scenario, the Congress actually gets revived and it is in a position to win 100 to 150 seats. Because for any opposition government to come, any alternative to BJP to come, Congress will be an important part. It has to win at least 130 seats to 150 seats. Without that, you cannot have even these smaller regional parties forming a front expecting Congress to support. That's not at all possible. So, question is, will Congress get revived enough by then, by 2024? To win 150 seats, and all those seats will be in states where BJP is the principal rival. That's a very important point to note. That is like states like Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh. We will get an answer because end of next year we are going to have assembly election in these states. So we will know what shape is the Congress taking place. But from whatever we get to hear, the incumbent governments in Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, they are already facing a lot of anti-incumbency issues, and the Congress leaders themselves are very doubtful whether they can have a hat trick again.
Sorry about that. The next question is from Mr. Lee. Why is the Bharat Jodo Yatra missing states such as Gujarat, Orissa, West Bengal, etc.?
Exactly, this is exactly the question that Congress leaders are asking. Why did they not go to states like Gujarat, which is facing elections, or Odisha? Because the route is the route, the route they have taken is straight from just Kanyakumari to the top and connecting those constituencies which are considered key to Congress future plans. This question is being asked very much because they could have had, instead of a straight line on the, kind of a line on the map for this yatra, they could have done a bit about go along the coasts. Then they would have covered Bengal, they could have started from Gujarat or gone down, or started from say east and gone down and then come up and then touched, but in between they need to go through the heartland of India, because it is a Hindi heartland which is a challenge, and that is an area that remains largely untouched by this yatra. And as I said earlier, they need to project faces for this yatra. What we are seeing is one young man in nice white t-shirt, probably blueberry or blackberry, and just marching on.
Next question from Nandakumar Iyengar. Is there any chance that the Indian public gets over caste and freebies culture to get a professional government?
Well, this could be an ultimate reality, but then we are living in a country where there are disparities and various levels of income and no jobs, and that kind of economic scenario. Freebies are highly tempting for the voters, and but voters have also realized in states where the freebies are given, particularly at the time of elections, and subsequently not much is done in terms of improving quality of governance. People are beginning to realize that when it comes to giving quality in governance, that freebies cannot be an answer for long. That is why the debate that was sparked by the Supreme Court asking about the freebies, you saw the kind of reactions coming from parties like DMK, Aam Aadmi Party, and even, and the standard answer was, look, you want to deprive the poor of these freebies and then write off loans of all those millionaires and billionaires who have escaped from the country. Confusing issues like waivers and write-offs, trying to make a big deal about it, and that has been a political issue. Every time when Prime Minister Modi is attacked, he is usually attacked on these lines, that he is helping his capitalist friends, he's helping his wealthy friends, and he is against freebies. So this is a very strong argument, and in an election year, it becomes very difficult. But this government has been conducting one of the largest welfare programs, Shayarji. They have been continuing to give food grains to more than 80 crore families, which started during COVID, is still continuing. They are giving grains. There are so many things are being done for farmers. And of course, the other larger programs are the PM Awas Yojana, where the construction of homes, that's also speeding up. The Jal Jeevan Mission, providing the piped water supply to nook and corner of the country. There are several things that are going on which are basically welfare programs. But Prime Minister Modi has ensured that these are done at a quality level, rather than, we have seen Indira Awas Yojana earlier, where half-built houses were passed off as done and a lot of money was siphoned off. That is something that the Prime Minister Modi does not want to allow. That is why you saw in Uttar Pradesh Assembly elections, some of the beneficiaries of these schemes were themselves, turned out to be a new constituency of voters for the BJP.
Next question, please. Papi Raju wants to know, I have a question, sir, plain and simple. Has every contestant read Constitution of India?
Well, they have read the parts they think is useful for them. Some have read only the preamble, and they talk about secularism and socialism. And some people don't want to look at the directive principles of state policy. And some of them don't. Some of them think of fundamental rights only. That is why there is a big halla about this, Kartavya Path, which the Prime Minister other day renamed Rajpath as Kartavya Path. And now you are seeing the kind of debate, because it was essential in a country like India. Citizens were made as conscious of their duties, basic duties, in whatever station in life they are in this country. But now what the debate I see is sometimes very shocking, because some columnists are even saying, this is a way of conveying to the people, Prime Minister Modi is washing off his hands to anything. I mean, he won't have anything more to do for the citizens of the country. They have to fend for themselves. And this overemphasis of duties will come at the cost of fundamental rights. All that has happened is, as Prime Minister himself said on that day, this is to remind everybody, including politicians, members of parliament, ministers, bureaucrats, at least once when they pass by that Kartavya Path, remember that duty is an important element. That is, I think the whole idea is India as a country, India as citizens. It's time, when we are celebrating 75 years, we need to be aware of our own duties, basically being what? That I will pay my taxes, I'll be as honest as possible, my businesses will be clean. But because this culture is, everybody wants a clean government, but they want to hide their taxes. Everybody is against corruption, but they always look for a jack, as the word is commonly used in Delhi. Kai jack hai kya? Jack means, getting how you can get things done. So this kind of thing you expect others to do for you, but you yourself are not willing to clean up your business. Of course, a lot of cleaning up has happened following, the new the GST, then all these bankruptcy laws. They have brought a lot of cleanup. That is why the compliance level, if you see in terms of income tax and other taxes, they have gone up. For the simple reason that people are beginning to realize there is a high cost in in evading rather than complying.
Next question, please. Sachin Sharma wants to know, on the Kartavya Path, PM Modi said we are moving away from our colonial past. But on the other hand, he announced a one-day mourning on the death of Queen Elizabeth II. How come?
Well, this is basically a courtesy extended to a head of state, because Queen is the head of state of UK, and whenever heads of state of very friendly, important countries have passed away, the government of India has announced one-day mourning. This is not because she is Queen of United Kingdom, but she is the head of state of United Kingdom. That is the reason, Sachinji.
Next question, I think this is the last one. Chaitanya Vankar wants to know, non-BJP states like Telangana, West Bengal and other states are exposed with various scams. Do you think people will vote against the BJP? Oh, I think they're saying they are exposing scams. I don't know. I don't think anybody has exposed BJP scams. What do you think, sir?
No, you see, the comparable scams have not come to light. I would say that. I mean, if you look at the scams that are happened in Bengal, or even in Tamil Nadu, or in Maharashtra, we are yet to see that scale of money, because that is why the opposition keeps on crying. When are you going to catch a corrupt BJP man? When are you going to? So till then, they don't think what has happened to them is a serious one.
Right.
This is a very queer logic, because what has happened in Bengal and Maharashtra or Tamil Nadu or in other places where huge seizure. Today we get a figure that Enforcement Directorate has made seizures more than 100 crores in cash. This is all developments of last 2-3 months.
Last question. How will Nitish play spoil sport in 2024?
Well, if his social engineering model, if he can replicate it in UP, and it can bring some of those, break into BJP's own new emerging social base, then there are danger signs. But then Nitish charisma is limited to Bihar. It is not beyond Bihar, and that too only particularly the central Bihar or parts of North Bihar. So he is essentially a Bihari politician. So I cannot see how he can be a national figure when you compare with the challenge that Modi poses to all these opposition leaders.
Thank you very much, Shekhar-ji. It was a pleasure talking and listening to your inputs on various things that are happening around the country. Well, we'll be back again, viewers, in a week's time to talk to Shekhar-ji about the last week that elapsed in politics. Thank you very much, sir. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.